I'm a veteran. No, it's not me. I have 0 stickers or anything. And it's not because I'm not proud. I like to remain undercover because I really appreciate what it did for me. I don't need to talk about it because I feel it. And I know that, veterans are all, we all feel it. We love what we did.
All right, what's up, Kyle?
What's going on, man?
Thanks for being here, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's continue that, man. Let's continue that story. You're telling me a story that, and just to let the audience know, Kyle was talking to me about a story that impacted his life in a major way. So
Yeah, got it.
yeah,
All right, so I was 21 and, just trying to live my American dream and develop that. And I really wasn't going anywhere. I didn't have as much direction as I thought I did at the time. So, school wasn't working out. I was trying to hold a job and was doing okay at it, but, my potential bubble was very small. So, having too much of a good time, and, I kind of ended up going through a windshield. I've got a scar on my chin here that I see every morning, and luckily I got home, and I didn't really have to go to the hospital or anything.
yeah.
But I just knew that it was, hey man, you got lucky. It's time to make a change. Do what you want to do with your life and go sign up.
So what were you were having a good time before that?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
I was celebrating my birthday. I was 21. Actually, I was 22 at the time. It was my 22nd birthday.
Okay.
So, yeah, just
Just out partying and drinking, or
that was it. I was actually bowling, and I realized I don't want to have this the rest of my life.
yeah.
So, fast forward, I stuck with my recruiter and I signed up. I enlisted, and 9 months later, I was going to boot camp. We hit a tree. Hit a tree. We're both at fault. We shouldn't have been in there.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we were both all right. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about that, though. Somebody was watching out for me and him, but that's when I realized it's time.
You hit a tree and you went through the fucking window?
Yeah, so I hit the dash, and then my head smoked the windshield, cracked, truck was totaled, tree didn't look good either, and I mean, the shit of it is, it was like a quarter mile from my house,
Yeah.
just down the hill.
Yeah.
It was not a good Sunday morning, like, when my mother saw me. And that was one of many. I had to tell my dad, my 4 younger brothers and sisters, so that birthday party didn't end up so great the next day.
And where'd this happen at?
So I was in Michigan, where I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you grew up what city?
I grew up in Shepherd, which is it's about 60 miles north of the capital in Lansing. It's about an hour 45 minutes northwest of Detroit. So, but if you look at it here, it's dead center, right in the knuckle. So.
And so, man, after this accident, what did it, what change did it cause you to make? What changes?
Changes. I had to stop doing what I was doing. I had to get serious. I had to not look for life of the party. And that's kind of where I was at. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of 21, 22-year-olds out there that do that. And then they get sucked into it. They wake up and they're 40, and it's the rest of their life. I didn't want that. And I was hesitant in pulling the trigger on enlisting, because I was like, well, if I do this, then I might give up my good time, or, what if I'm not good at it? What if this isn't meant for me? What if I'm not the guy for the job? I don't know what I'm going to do in the Marine Corps. But after that, I realized how precious the opportunity was, and maybe it's divine intervention, but I mean, that's what led me to follow through with this commitment.
Yeah.
And I think it saved my life. I know it did.
Yeah. What were you already thinking about the military?
Yeah. So I was talking with a recruiter at the time, and just kind of like, it's going to be a few months in the depth. I'll enlist at this time, this date. And as soon as this all happened, as soon as like my life just kind of started, I saw like a spiral, and I was in the spiral downward, and I realized that was it. It was time.
And what made you pick the Marine Corps?
man, nobody else in my family was doing the Marine Corps. A lot of my family was in the Army or the Air Corps at the time. I have got a really heavy military background in the family, but nobody did the Marine Corps. Nobody ever joined the Marines. I don't think there's any bias towards it. I just think, smallest branch, Vietnam being a big part of it, and the draft. And in high school, I talked to a recruiter. I really, really wanted to give it a try. It was the height of Iraq. I graduated high school in 2006. And so, of course, me being 17, 18 years old, I was hesitant. I knew I didn't want to kick in a door. I wanted to give college a try, which I royally fucked up because I was not ready. And then it just always stuck with me. I really, really wanted to do it. And I think the hardest part for me was that nobody was going to hold my hand. I had to man up and make a decision. And thank God for my recruiters. I'll never forget Sergeant Longman, Staff Sergeant Fry, or Staff Sergeant Minkler. They really guided me, and when they could have given me up, they didn't. Nice. And that really impacted me as well.
Did you get to pick your job?
No, I did not. I went to boot camp thinking, all right, open contract, and this is in 2010, and this amphibious assault thing. I mean, that was the MOS that I was supposedly going to land on. Come what was it, like week 8 of boot camp? They're talking MOSs, and they're like, Hiner, legal admin. All right, well, I guess here it is. I'm going to be a pogue. Cool. Admin out. Cool, I'll take it. Whatever. I get to be a Marine. That's what was most important to me. We hadn't even graduated boot camp yet, so we still had a ways to go. But when I found out I didn't get butthurt, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get to be a Marine, and I get to thrive at this job, and I'm gonna also have the opportunity to work with a bunch of guys that do some actual cool shit. So no, I didn't get to pick my job, but I think it ended up putting me in the right places. Matter of fact, I know it put me in the right places.
Yeah.
Especially with where I'm at today. I'm alive. I'm happy.
So where did it steer you? Did it put you in the right places within the military? Like, talk to me about that.
Absolutely, it did. So I got my orders first to New River, which I was not happy about.
Where's that?
New River? Exactly. It's just south of Camp Lejeune on MCAS New River. It's the air wing over there.
I should know that, man. I was in fucking shithole Camp Lejeune.
Yeah. It's like 45 minutes southeast of Cherry Point. So anyways, I got orders to HMLA 167. They didn't have room for me. I went to CNAT, still on base. And the only thing left for me to do was to be meritoriously promoted because nothing else was working out. And I was done. I wasn't done with the Marine Corps, but I was like, I'm not gonna be this Lance Corporal who just does a desk job. I'm gonna be a Marine. I'm gonna be 360, and I'm gonna be a stellar enabler to be able to let these guys do their job. I want them to depend on me. So after getting to CNAT, I found my opportunities. I got meritoriously promoted to corporal. A year later, meritoriously promoted to sergeant, and then my re-enlistment was coming up, and at first I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do another 48 months. Time came, and I found out there's a re-enlistment incentive. You can go to jump school, you can do all this, all that. I had a really good buddy that was telling me all this stuff about MARSOC. His name's Trace McConnell. I grew up with him, and he's a shooter now. But anyways, wanting to emulate him, I had the desire to go to MARSOC, and I put it down on my re-enlistment incentive to get orders to 1MU, which is the MCC for MARSOC, Raider Battalion in the West Coast. I got it. I was super pumped, and I PCS'd out there. And at first, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll try A&S. And then I found out real quick. It's like, dude, I hate hiking, man. I'm not gonna be doing this. I like shooting guns, and I'm okay at it. But I'm still not a door kicker. I'm still not a guy that's gonna ruck in this amount of time. I'm probably cut out for it, but I know my head's not there.
Yeah, tell people what A&S is.
Oh, it's assessment and selection for MARSOC.
Right.
Yeah, those guys are they're next level, man. Kudos, big time. So with that being said, it was a whiplash. I had some good mentors in the S1 there that really showed me how to handle my job, but that time didn't last long because orders came for them. They got promoted and they had to go on to their new chapter. So I was left there to take it on my own and develop my leadership amongst my Marines there. And then the next goal was to get into a company and deploy. So that took a lot of work as well. That being said, fast forward about 6 months, that opportunity came, and I got attached to Delta Company, which, I mean, it's probably the proudest time of my whole 10 years. I was super nervous. Like I keep saying, I'm not a shooter. One of my guys on Team 2 let me know that, like, hey, man, you don't have to be a shooter to be on this team. What it means is that you have to be great at your job. That resonated with me, and it still does today. So that really changed my fixed mindset and allowed me to grow with a mentality that, like, hey, these guys need to be in the field, but they don't need to be worrying about this administrative stuff that I'm supposedly good enough to do to be attached to the company and be their admin chief. So these guys really mentored me into that, and then the responsibility of mine grew. With that being said, I was able to take care of these guys, but it was straight mentorship based. They really, really paved the ground for me to be able to ask the hard questions, to be able to gain the knowledge, to get to know them on a first name basis was incredible. I never thought that day would come that I would be called Kyle. But in that community, it means something.
Yeah.
And to be able to enable those guys and not have them worry about their pay, not have their, they don't have to worry about the orders that they're going to next because they let me take care of that for them with initiative and, let them be out there doing their thing that I don't even know what they were doing. I just knew that it was more important and something greater than what I had to take care of.
Right.
So going 100% all the time it became second nature.
Yeah. We always hear, I'm sure you're familiar with, you become who you surround yourself with, right? And so I think you got an interesting perspective, by being the admin in an elite unit like this. So my question is, what did that do for you, being surrounded by these guys from MARSOC, which is one of the most elite units in the Marine Corps?
Right. Man, it humbled me. It humbled me in great ways because I found out that, like, I was accepted. I was accepted in that community, and I wasn't a shooter, and I never was gonna be. And that was kind of like hard to accept, I guess. I love football, and to be able to say, okay, I'm not gonna be on the field. I'm gonna sit here and be the best backup that I can be. That was never in my blood because I was always on the field. But within this community, to be accepted because I was doing my job and these guys were allowing me to develop in that, and they were, they let me be a part of it. And with that, moving forward, I was able to mentor Marines and show them what they showed me and keep that within my avenue, and sending my Marines off to do bigger and better things and becoming great and better than maybe what I was at one time. It meant all the world because it's not about me. But in realizing that, I was extremely humbled, and I already thought I had a big sense of humility, but I guess it came in the fact that I still had something to learn. And I mean, you can't get much more alpha than 0372 in MARSOC. But when, being able to be appreciated and enable those guys in that community really, really gave me a sense of pride. Yeah. Even more pride of belonging.
Did you, so when you guys weren't like training or overseas or anything, would you hang out with them? Like,
Yeah. It was, man, that was probably the bigger part of it. And it all started with, my direct leader, my first sergeant. Me and him got chopped out at the same time. And it wasn't supposed to happen. They didn't want either of us because, I mean, why do you want administrative support and a first sergeant in MARSOC? Well, it wasn't it was needed, but at the same time, the guys wanted us. So we knew that that was very, very precious, and we couldn't fuck it up. And that meant work hard, show up on time, do your damn job, take care of these dudes, and let's keep going forward one day at a time. So in developing that, the grind, it started with workups. We're sitting there working, and all of a sudden we get hit by our, team leaders on the other team. Hey, what are you guys doing? Hey, let's go hang out. Let's do this. We're having an ops pause. We're going to get burritos. And then, fast forward to deployment, we have time to appreciate some work that we've done. So, First Sergeant has this great idea. Hey, we're here on the holidays. Everybody's pitching in. I don't care what your job is. Everybody's going to make this a great Thanksgiving. Same thing with Christmas. Dude surprised me on my birthday. We had a beach bash, just for a few hours while we could get away from the compound. It was cool. It wasn't anything crazy, but just enough there. And then seeing the teams come up, and they were there. They were part of it. We're all just having a good time, developing that camaraderie. Nothing can take that place in the world. At the end of the day, we shook hands, went back to doing our jobs. But because we're able to do that outside of the camis, it just made everything so much more congested in a good way, in a positive manner. It tightened the circle, and we had a big group, but it made it such a tight circle that nobody was going to bust through that thing, even though we were an optimized company at the time. And this is my one deployment story. Oh, I'm so proud of those times, and not because of the work I did, but because of the dudes I got to work for, and everything that they taught me, and especially my first sergeant. He made me believe that I was capable, and that's not something that you can buy. So that's where a real sense of pride of belonging comes in, and that I don't know if I hold anything else closer to my heart than that time in the Marine Corps.
Yeah,
it was paramount for me.
Talk to me about that, man. What was it like being on deployment, with MARSOC?
I got to think here.
Yeah, what are some of the best times that you've had on deployment?
One of the coolest times I had was the biggest challenge that I had, and that's where the guys wanted to shoot. They had a week or two back in Guam, and they wanted to run a range. Well, they needed another PMI, and I was so scared of fucking that up that I didn't want to do it until I got told by the good first sergeant, "You're doing this. I don't give a fuck. You're trained. You can do this. You're doing it. They got a qual. It's not about you. Remember that." And that's where I realized, being scared about it kind of made it about me. It was selfish to not want to do that. So the scariest time on deployment for me was trying to run a range for shooters that knew what they were doing with a gun, but they had to listen to me make calls and run the line. I mean, as an 0111, as an admin guy, that's not the most comfortable position to be in.
Right.
But after one of the guys who was also an 0931, he never told me. He knew how I was feeling. He was also a 72. He's like, "Hey man, I got you. Just follow me." And I did. That day ended up being my favorite day on deployment. We ran the line. We ended up getting to shoot. The guys were having fun. My XO was out there laughing. We had rounds to expend, so we ended up, letting them. They wanted to shoot more, and I wasn't out there with a campaign cover or anything. I wasn't out there barking orders and they were listening to me because I was that knowledgeable in the literature of shooting a gun. But I was able to call the commands good enough for them to execute those drills. And then, next thing you know, there was, the SEAL commander out there. He wanted to shoot. He was having fun. And I didn't even know at the time until after First Sergeant XO told me, "Hey, he had a good time, man. He's out, but, he got his numbers and he just qualled with the pistol." I'm like, oh, damn, cool. So my scariest day, the most dreadful day that I was not looking forward to, that ended up being that was my favorite time. That was my favorite day, and it changed my life because I found out that it's not all about you. There's leaders out there, there's mentorship out there for a reason, and it just changed me. I took it back with me to the States, and it never left.
How did the guys, the operators take to it that you were their PMI? How did they treat you with it? Did they give you shit? Did they what?
No, at least I didn't hear any shit. No, they didn't. They showed up with confidence.
Nice.
They did. I don't know if First Sergeant gave him a talk. I don't know if the XO gave him a talk. I don't know if they told him to take it easy. I don't think so. But regardless, they treated me like I was one of their own, and they listened because they knew that they knew I was capable. I didn't know I was capable.
I think what you're explaining to me just shows the kind of person you are, and their response of not giving you shit was because of how you carried yourself. Like,
Probably,
you probably weren't walking around with your fucking chest puffed out, and you knew your place. And guys like that respect that. And,
right.
So
right.
that's just my fucking.
It's probably. No, I'm sure that is what it is. I've been told I could be a little cockier.
I could
be a little bit more boastful, but
should be.
I should be. And it's just not. It's not me. I mean, there's a time and place. You want to talk about the gym. You want to talk about, stuff like that, or something that I know a lot about when it comes to, football, basketball. Yeah, I can get a little loud. But when it comes to something like that, no way.
Yeah.
But, it was a developmental stage for me, and I saw it come full circle with the guys that I looked up to most. Starting with my first sergeant, and then, the team, and everybody took us in as one, and it was phenomenal.
What did you do with your time off in Guam? Because obviously they get liberal out there, right?
Oh yeah, we got a little bit, and of course that when we had time, somebody was always on duty. Same rules applied. We couldn't be assholes. So what I did, and a couple of dudes that lived in my team house with me, like, we would just find different historic monuments to go and check out. There's big World War II. There's a lot of World War II memorabilia and a lot of things that are still together over there. They're just ruins. But every opportunity I had, I took that to go over there and appreciate, like, the guys that came before me, the Marines, or, the service members that were there in Guam in one of the most bloody battles of World War II. I took the entire 6 months to go and master and conquer, traveling and seeing those places, because it meant a lot to me. So we'd do that, and then and we'd check out downtown a little bit. We'd go have some fun. We'd let loose a little bit, but we never got too crazy.
Right.
We kept it in line. I guess we had some expanded left and right lateral limits at times, but we knew what the seriousnness of the situation was, and we didn't want to fuck that up. So
right.
Yeah.
How long were you was that deployment?
I went out there Advon end of June 2016, and I came back beginning of middle end of January of 2017.
Okay.
So it was six and a half months for me.
Yeah.
So we were back at Pendleton. That's where I went, chopped back up, went back to doing S1 things, and then I held down admin chief for a while because we were gapped. So I was a sergeant doing admin chief for the whole battalion. That was a time. Still doing color sergeant things, So then I was there. I went to school, had to get PME complete. And I was only it was in for 5 years at this time. And then I found out I was in zone.
Can you tell people what PME is?
Yeah, professional military education.
Okay.
Required to get promoted. You have to go to the residence course or non-res course online, depending on your situation. But it's required for promotion and retention. So that was important to me. I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. I know I'm only, I had a goal of being a staff sergeant in 6 years. So I found out I was in zone. I didn't go to below zone. I was in zone. Went to sergeant's course with a couple other guys that were also Delta Company, which is awesome. We've all finished in the top. We were all top 3 in the whole class, which was great. Competitive the whole time. Then I got selected in September. Got promoted in the following February. So now we're in 2018. I was set to go on the SOTIF to Iraq, but because I got promoted, I had to choose, and those were orders back to Michigan. So I went to the RS, and I was just, after all the fun and cowboy days are over, now I'm going back to RS Lansing. But I was excited because it was home, and like I said from the beginning, I really appreciated my recruiters. I would never want that duty, but the chance to enable them and support them, that was important to me, and I knew it was going to be it's going to be something to conquer, because I've heard horror stories about this duty as a support role. But I stuck with it, and I enjoyed it.
Did you take advantage of being in Pendleton and all the shit there is to do in San Diego? And
not as much as I could have, to be honest. No, I didn't. I was really just focused on the Marine Corps. I didn't go out as much. I didn't look to stay out all night. I didn't want to just take leave to go have a day and go check this out, because my 24/7 365 Eagle Globe and Anchor on my heart was coming first at all times. So I really didn't. And I mean, until this conversation that we're having now, I mean, maybe I never realized that, and maybe it's because I live in San Clemente now. But no, I didn't take full advantage. I tried to take advantage of being in the Marine Corps as much as I could. So I absorbed Pendleton, but outside of that, it was pulling teeth to get me out of the bricks. Past 9 o'clock, it wasn't happening. It wasn't happening at all.
You were an old soul, man.
Oh my God, it was bad. I felt like I might have lost some friends because of it. I didn't, but I think, I was real straight edge. I loosened up a little bit, but when it came to what was the most important, that was it.
Well, what was it like going back home now then to your hometown of Michigan?
Oh my gosh, that was insane. I remember the first people I told was my mom and my niece. I let them know, like, hey, I got selected, but that also means I've got choice of orders where I want to go, and I'm not going back to North Carolina. I do not want to go to Japan. I want to try this thing out at home. So there's an opportunity for me to go to Lansing, and I'm going to take it. And family was super pumped. They were real happy. So yeah, I was excited. Got home. First time in the Marine Corps, I'm getting BAH because I'm a staff sergeant, even though I'm like, 30 years old. It's like, it was a blessing. It was super cool.
Yeah.
So.
Because you said you're close with your parents and you have sisters, right? You have
sisters? I've got 2 younger sisters, 2 younger brothers. Yep, I'm the oldest of 5. So.
Nice. So it was nice to be back.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Okay, so now you're in Michigan. What was your duty there?
I was admin chief there. But that comes with many, I don't even know. They're not blessings. There's a lot of duties that follow with it. But the blessing that I can say is that it allowed me to take care of the recruiters. And granted, I mean, we averaged 90 at a time. But being able to take care of those guys, again, I keep coming back to that. I thrive off being able to take care of people, even though it's not me running the show. Running the show to take care of them is something that my Marines and myself, that was our mentality. We always got to do better. We got to make sure that they're good to go. And so it came down to me, not just doing administrative things with pay. It came down to monitoring PFTs. Hey, how can we get these PFTs and CFTs done in a timely manner so they're not missing mission? Guess we got to drive 3 hours north. Guess we have to do sector trainings. Guess we have to go and do this. Hey, it's what it takes. Trying to do that, it was stressful, but I mean, the mentality of having that, it really showed the recruiters, I hope it showed the recruiters that, hey, these guys aren't just working a 9 to 5. They actually kind of care about this shit too. And of course we did. I didn't want to, we don't want to see anybody go down for something they can't control, like mission,
And this was your second enlistment already,
Third.
Right?
This was number 3.
Your third enlistment?
Yeah, well, let me see here. I did 10 years, so the first one was automatic. I re-enlisted in North Carolina, and then, I re-enlisted again, my final enlistment in September of 2018.
So what
2017.
What inspired you to re-enlist?
I just felt like I wasn't done yet. I felt like you could get out now, but I think that you're going to be one of those guys that says, hey, you should have stayed in longer. And I don't want to tell that story to somebody doing what I was doing, saying, hey, don't do what I did. I don't want to be that guy. I've met a lot of them, and sometimes you can't help that that's a guy you're going to be like, hey, don't do what I did. But when it came to the Marine Corps, I didn't want to have that story. I wanted to make sure that I was getting as much out of it as I could. I wanted to make sure I was filling my boots the same way everybody else was. I wanted to make sure that I still had gas in the tank. And on my final enlistment, I felt like I had just enough gas to do that. And I was going to let it see where it took me. And I was 2/3 of the way through my last enlistment, and I missed a HIST list twice. There's no way I'm going to the SDA. Well, they got me. And I was supposed to be in drill instructor school, 4TAC 21, last summer. And I decided right there, you know what? I've got this hesitant feeling in my gut. Like, everybody wants to be a drill instructor at one time.
Yeah.
And I did. But, over the years, I guess that dream kind of faded. And it wasn't that I just despised it. I mean, I love that job. I think it's one of the, how much more elite do you get on an SDA? All of them are important, but drill instructors, it's from day one I wanted to be one. It's like every recruit. When I got those orders, I realized that, because I'm hesitant, whoa, that was my reaction. Like, you know what, it's not for me. I could probably go there, I could probably do a great job and eventually be a senior drill instructor and then carry out the next, 8 years to retire. But because of everything I've learned and what I invested into the Marine Corps, the way it invested into me, was that I'm not going to be that guy on a team. I don't want to be that guy that doesn't want to be there. And I'm okay with that. I got a lot of encouragement saying, just go feel it out, man. It's just another 3 years and everybody can be a drill instructor. It's like, nah, man, I care about it too much. I'm going to let somebody that wants to go and do it. I don't want to be histed and told, hey, we want to have you here. I didn't enlist that way. I didn't have to be sold. I didn't even look at the challenge coins. I invested in the Marine Corps to change my life. And drill instructor duty wasn't for me. And it was a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But that's where mentorship comes back in, right? And first sergeant, deployment first sergeant, Nelson, I got a hold of him and I said, hey, man, you told me it was coming. Well, it's here, and I don't feel the same way about drill instructor duty. They're not going to let me go MSG. Well, man, we had the talk, so do what you got to do. And I did, and I feel really good about that decision. And my Marine, who I had in Lansing, Sergeant Benito, he really, really wanted to be a drill instructor. He's got his package in now, and he's going to class. How he was about putting in his package, the initiative he had to go and be a drill instructor, to make Marines, even though he's an 0111, the pride that he had, the glow in his eyes, the smile he has, the cadence he sung that annoyed the fuck out of me every day. That's what I wasn't having, and that's why I wasn't going to go down there and do it. Because I have too much respect for guys like that. And this is what people would call a subordinate. Now, he's my mentee. I learned from that guy, just the way I mentor him. And because of the pride he has to go and do this, there's no way I was going to get histed to go and say, hey, you need to go and do this for 3 years because it's your time.
Right.
Nah, I care about it too much.
Right.
So, yeah.
And this is when you chose to get out.
This is when I decided I was going to hang up the boots with no bad taste in my mouth. I run the course, it's I guess my time's done, and I'm okay with that. No bad taste. I love the gun club. I love everything it's taught me, and I want to take it into the civilian world now and see how I can do. Super anxious and excited, scared. Oh,
did you have a plan?
Yeah, little bit. I mean, I had the end in mind. But when it came to developing those details, it's like, well, I'm going to go into real estate. Cool. It's a good plan. What else? So being mentored in the right steps and how to, transition correctly, I developed a plan in like a snap, and it's now paying off. I'm a full-time student. I'm a realtor. I I still have yet to sell a house. I'm a new realtor. But I've got another great team that I work with that reminds me so much of my acquaintances in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And they all remind me of that. It's so elite. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's my favorite team ever. So I went from one team to another team.
Yeah.
And I'm super thankful, super lucky. And the mentorship guidance is all there. Started school, working my ass off. It's, I got to earn it. Yeah. And I think the plan is developing now. And hopefully one day when there's a guy on the fence that's thinking about getting out, I can say, hey, dude, here's my turnover. This is what I did. You don't have to do it exactly, but this is what I developed in those steps. Take it and do what you want to do. But make sure your mentorship's there.
How's the transition been for you, mentally, like being out of this military environment and back into the civilian world? How do you do you suffer any mental, I hate to say like mental illness and stuff, because everyone has some type of fucking anxiety or gets anxiety from something
general,
but just from being in the fucking Marine Corps, also around in a very elite fucking unit, MARSOC, these guys are always on the fucking go, everything's got to be fucking dotted I's, crossed T's. So I'm just curious on what it's like mentally transitioning out now, and you being in this fucking civilian world, and you're around people that don't give a fuck about that and don't have standards like that.
They don't. I think this is where I'm getting another sense of like humility, because the last thing that I've ever done is gone around and say, hey, I'm a Marine. Well, boast that. And I'm a veteran. No, that's not me. I have 0 stickers or anything. And it's not because I'm not proud. I like to remain undercover because I really appreciate what it did for me. I don't need to talk about it because I feel it. And I know that, veterans are all, we all feel it. We love what we did. Some of them maybe not. But the transition has, I'm still going through it. I EAS'd in November. Hasn't even been half a year. And I was told that, it's going to take a while. And the best thing that I've done is staying busy and not going dormant and not going stagnant. And I've had those veterans to help me out. The transition's been different. It's been like some of the things that I'm feeling are definitely a sense of paranoia. Kind of like, oh shit, there's no morning report to submit this morning. Crazy. Or like when it comes to just like working with my team now, I kind of feel like in the Marine Corps, I got to be on call. I'm waiting for a call. It's 8:00 at night. Like, fuck. You guys got anything for me? How's it going? It's just my mind's racing. But as crazy as that sounds, it's really created a positive, work ethic for me, because my initiative's still there. And I thought maybe, after the Marine Corps was done, would my initiative still be there? Would I still be that motivated Lance Corporal who wanted nothing more than to be a meritorious corporal? Don't give a fuck about MOS. You just wanted to be a great Marine. Well, now I want to be a great civilian. I want to be a great veteran. I want to be a great man. I want to have a family one day. I want to be good for my family. All this stuff is playing into my transition. And that mentality is, it takes a toll. I definitely get really anxious. There's no depression. I'm not sad. I just know that I feel like I'm on the chopping block because I don't have the security of a 4-year enlistment anymore. So I don't know if that feeling will ever go away. But that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I do think about the Marine Corps a lot. And I guess it doesn't really help that I'm just north of Camp Pendleton.
Right.
But I truly love looking at the outside in because I know what it's like to be on the other side of that fence. Seeing the recruits, I can't wait to go to an MCRD graduation to see their transition. And just appreciate that.
Dude, I'll fucking go down there with you.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I've got the points of contact. We got it.
Yeah.
Amen to that. But yeah, no, it's the transition. And in the Marine Corps, we are used to a transitional lifestyle. It's 3-year duty stations, and it's 4 years at a time for an enlistment. So the transition never stops. Now transitioning out of that, I feel like I was prepared for it, but there are things I can do now that I couldn't do in the military. There's things now that that can help me, but there's also things that can't. And it's not like, hey, you're checking into your new unit. Here's your new sergeant. Here's your new mentor. Here's your new program. None of that's handed to me. I have to find that out on my own. And moving out here from Michigan as a civilian, jumping right into a new job, meeting people I've never met, led me to Kiro, led me to Mary, led me to Kyla, Jose, Nelson, Damon, my whole new team. Everything is, I think it plays a part, and the transition, as rough as it can be, it's part of it. And one day I'll have to transition again. I don't see that being in 4 years. But, when family time comes, when it comes time for me to have kids one day or whatever, I feel like this is preparing me for that. And so I think the transition now has been good. It's been rough, but I had the right people to take care of me.
A common theme I've heard amongst, people sitting in the seat and doing an interview like this is surrounding themselves with veterans.
Yeah.
Seems to be a fucking common denominator of helping every fucking veteran that I've talked to so far.
Hands
about
down.
it. And I think you mentioned earlier you're part of the Marine Corps League.
Yes.
Yeah, talk to me about that if you don't mind.
Nelson. Oh, Nelson. He got me into it. It was my first day here. I'm supposed to be EAS'd. I'm supposed to be able to, smoke weed if I want to, right? I'm supposed to be able to do all these things as a civilian. And the first stop I had was to go get a job lined up at Compass and start preparing to be a realtor. Awesome. The next stop, hey, I'm taking you to the Marine Corps League. You got a meeting to go to. It's like, dude, I don't want anything to do with this, man. Come on. No, I already bought your membership. You're swearing in tonight. You kidding me? Dude, I did a decade, man. I don't want anything to do with this. And at first I was like, what the fuck? And then I realized I fell in love with it all over again. And it was for a reason. It was for a reason, and he took care of me because he knew what I was going to be going through. And as time went on, he explained to me that, nobody really did that for him as soon as he retired. He said he had 3 months of limbo. He enjoyed himself, but there was that mentorship all over again. He's like, this is what you need. Not everybody needs it, but this is what you need because, love it or not, dude, you're fucking good at it. He's like, you need to be a part of this. I think you're going to really like it.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it. I live right up the road. I didn't move there intentionally to live by the Elks Lodge. I'm not an old man yet, but I fell in love with it, and it's a priority of mine. It's an obligation to me. I love that I get to be a part of this nonprofit, and I really can't say enough.
Yeah.
I can't say enough. The veterans it's like they already know you. They already know you. And that
it's like
I'm speechless about it.
Yeah, you're a lot of vets talk about missing that camaraderie, leaving the
hands down.
Any branch of the service, but in your case, the Marine Corps. I imagine, being involved in the Marine Corps League and surrounding yourself with a bunch of fucking Marine Corps veterans, you're just
some real badasses in there.
A beat, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, there's some real hardened veterans in there. Some great ones. All of them are great.
Yeah.
But I felt like as soon as it's like, you know what, I can kind of do Staff Sergeant Hiner things within this league and make it better. It's not about me again. I love that. How can I take care of people? How can I make this better for somebody? The opportunity to jump on and take that initiative to enable something greater than yourself is exactly what I pride myself on. It's exactly it. I'm good with being behind the scenes. I'm good with being under the table. As long as it's taking care of somebody, that's all that matters to me. So with this, the Marine Corps League, I'm able to do that. I'm able to help out. I'm able to volunteer my time, and there's not a better feeling in the world than making somebody else feel good.
Yeah.
And watching them, like, you know, just appreciate and be appreciated and have an easier day than they had yesterday. That's what it's all about to me.
Right.
And I'm just so thankful. I
Right.
love it.
Awesome, man. We're going to get ready to wrap it up. But before we do, I always give everybody the opportunity to say any last words.
Anybody out there transitioning, seek your mentorship. Seek it. It doesn't die. It only dies if you let it. But I've taken mentorship so seriously that I can't live without it. And I believe in instilling that into people that look up to me. And mentorship is something that there's no age limit. I've got mentors of mine that are challenging me through school right now that are 4 years younger than me. One's a doctor, you know, and I look up to him. I'm supposed to be the older guy. And that's just the way it is. So I'd stress, look up your mentors. If you don't have one, you can call me. But develop that program with however it is that works for you, and take advantage of it in the most beautiful way possible. Find a way to, like, find your niche in the world, and that's where it goes. And then someday you can help somebody do the same. That's what it's all about for me. The mentorship, I think it carries on, and I truly think that's the warrior ethos that we're taught about from day one.
Right on, man.
So,
Hey, thanks for being here, Kyle.
yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, brother.
Yes, sir.
Push it to the limit, I can't go no more.